Assalamualaikum. Hi guys, this is our new chapter 10, where we are going to learn about carboxylic acids and its derivatives. We have 4 subtopics that we need to cover for this chapter. Alright, in this video we are going to learn about the introduction to the nomenclature of carboxylic acid and how to draw the structural formula for them. For carboxylic acid, we have a specific functional group which is carboxyl. The structure is like this one. We have C double bond O and single bond OH. For carboxylic acid, we have aliphatic carboxylic acid and aromatic carboxylic acid. For aliphatic is just like the one that we've learned before, the open chain one, and you can attach the carboxyl group with any alkyl groups or hydrogen atom. However, for aromatic carboxylic acid, you have to make sure that aromatic ring is directly attached to the carboxyl carbon, this carbon. Now let's learn the IUPAC nomenclature for aliphatic carboxylic acid. We have several cases. Let's focus one by one. The first one is aliphatic carboxylic acid with one carboxyl group. So the first concept that we are going to use is to determine the parent carboxylic acid. The longest carbon chain that contain the carboxyl group, and the first carbon that attached to carboxyl group is going to be the carbon number 1. And then the family name for carboxylic acid, for example, we have alkane. Huruf E dekat hujung ni kita akan tukar dengan oic acid, and make sure you got a space between oic and acid. And if you got the substituents, make sure you added them as prefix in alphabetical order. So let's focus example 1A. We have 3 carbon atoms here, and you have carboxyl group at the first carbon. So this one is what we call as propanoic acid. So make sure you got a spacing between them. Next one, we have 3 carbon atoms. Same goes here. The first carbon will be the carbon with carboxyl group. However, we got one substituent here at the second carbon, which is chloro. This name will be 2-chloropropanoic acid. Next, we have 2 more examples. So the first carbon will be the carbon that connected to carboxyl group. It will be this carbon. And then find the longest carbon chain. It will be 4. So 4 carbon atoms. The parent will be butanoic acid. However, you got chloro at the third carbon, and you got methyl at the second carbon. So in alphabetical order, the name will be 3-chloro, and then -2-methyl, and the parent will be butanoic acid. So make sure your spelling is correct, and there is a spacing between oic and acid as usual. Next one, we are going to determine the IUPAC nomenclature for structure D. The first carbon will be the carbon that has carboxyl group, which is this carbon. So this will be our first carbon. Give the numbering and find out the longest carbon chain that you can get. So I got 7 longest carbon chain. So this one will be my parent. And as you see, I got several substituents, and some of them are identical to one another. We have bromo here, and we have methyl here. So we are going to give the name. The name for this structure will be 3,4, and then because we have 2 bromo, it will be dibromo, and then dash, we have at carbon number 5 and 6 dimethyl, and then the parent with 7 carbon chains. For carboxylic acid, it will be heptanoic acid. So this is the name for structure D. Now we go for aliphatic carboxylic acid with 2 carboxyl group. So it's just the same as before, but your parent should be carboxylic acid that contains the longest carbon chain. However, when you want to give the name, you are going to give the name as alkane dioic acid. So this alkane depends on how many carbon atoms you have. And then the position of your carboxyl are not shown because we can understand it will always be at the end of the chain. So I'm going to teach you without mentioning the numbering first. So let's say we can understand from here, this will be the first carbon, second, third, fourth and fifth. So the longest carbon chain, which is pentane without carboxyl group. But right now we can see that this structure has carboxyl group attached to each ends of the chain. So this one will be pentane dioic acid because two carboxyl groups. However, I can also give another name for this one where I want to mention the position of carboxyl group is at first carbon and fifth carbon. I can always write it as this one as well. So both of these are acceptable when you want to give the IUPAC nomenclature. For carboxylic acid, there are several common names that you have to understand. For example, we have methanoic acid. We can also call it as formic acid. This is carboxylic acid with one carbon atom. And then ethanoic acid with two carbon atoms can also be called as acetic acid. Same goes for propanoic acid with three carbon atoms. Butanoic acid, the other name butyric acid, and pentanoic acid, the other name is valeric acid with 5 carbon atoms. So these all are the common name that you can also write as your answer when you give the name for the given structure. Now we go for the next case. You have cyclic carboxylic acid with one carboxyl group. So the parent carboxylic acid must be the carbon atoms in the ring. So you can give the name of the parent chain as cycloalkane carboxylic acid. And then if you got any substituents, just add them as prefix. So for example, we have this one. You can give the name as cyclohexane carboxylic acid because you got cycloalkane in the ring and then carboxylic acid, one carboxyl group here. However, you can also give the name as cyclohexanoic acid. This is where you are going to change cycloalkane, the letter E here at the end, you change with oic acid. So both of these are acceptable as the name for structure A. Next, we have structure B and C. Let's go one by one. So the parent will be the cyclic ring that has carboxyl group attached to it. So this one, you can also write it down as cyclobutane carboxylic acid. However, we got one substituent here. This one is what we call as hydroxy. So if I want to determine the numbering, the carbon in the ring that attach directly to carboxyl group will be the first carbon. So this is the first, this is the second. So your name will be 2-hydroxy, and then you got cyclobutane because the ring with 4 carbon atoms and it has attached to carboxyl group. So it will be carboxylic acid. So this is one answer that we can accept. Another one, if I want to change my cyclobutane carboxylic acid as cyclobutanoic acid, also acceptable. So another name that you can use, 2-hydroxy cyclobutanoic acid. So both names are acceptable. Next one for C. So in order for you to determine the parent, it will be the ring that attached to carboxyl group directly. So automatically this carbon will be the first carbon. And then for the next one, we are going to use try and error. So if my numbering go up, it will be like this one. So my position for substituent is at carbon number 2 and carbon number 5. The total will be 7. If I use the numbering from here, the blue one, and go down, I can see that my substituents is at position carbon number 3 and 6. It will be 9. So which locant is the most suitable one? We are going to choose the one with lowest number. So 7 is the best one. I'm going to choose numbering in red color. So automatically follow the alphabetical order, we have bromo here and methyl here. So bromo comes first. It will be at position carbon number 5. So the name for this one will be 5-bromo. And then methyl at carbon number 2. So -2-methyl. And my parent is cyclohexane. And then this is carboxylic acid. Just combine them together, make it close. So you got your answer. However, I can make it more simple where this cyclohexane carboxylic acid can be changed to cyclohexanoic acid. So everything stay the same. It will be 5-bromo-2-methyl cyclohexanoic acid. Make sure your spelling is correct. So you got 2 names here, both are acceptable. Next we have cyclic carboxylic acid, but right now with 2 carboxyl group. So it is just the same case as before, but you have to make sure you need to mention the position of carboxyl group. So let's say we have this structure. So we have ring attached to 2 carboxyl group. So I'm going to choose whichever end. This one will be the first carbon, and go up you will have 6 carbon atoms, and your carboxyl is at position carbon number 1 and 4. So I'm going to write my name right now, starting with the position of carboxyl group 1,4 dash cyclo, and then right now this is hexane, and then hexane. Because we have 2 carboxyl group, it will be dicarboxylic acid. So this is the name for structure in example 4 for this structure. Next one, we have priority case. If you got this one where a compound that contains more than 1 functional group, you have to prioritize carboxyl group. So automatically when you have this structure, so this structure you can see that carboxyl group attached to the cyclohexane, and then this is the ring with 6 carbon atoms, and you also got F here, which is halogen, and this is carboxyl. Automatically this one will be our priority because carboxylic acid is the most highest one in priority list compared to other functional groups. So this one will be the first carbon, second and third. So now I'm going to give the name. This is my substituents right now. It will be fluoro, and then you have cyclohexane carboxylic acid for this parent, and then fluoro is at the third carbon. So the name of your structure will be 3-fluoro, and then this is cyclohexane, and then I'm going to combine them, cyclohexane, and at the first carbon we have carboxylic acid. So it will be -1-carboxylic acid. Next one, you can also give the name as 3-fluoro, and then this naming of the parent, I'm going to change it as cyclohexanoic acid. So both of these are acceptable for the naming. Now we go for the structure of IUPAC nomenclature for aromatic carboxylic acid. So this is where you have aromatic carboxylic acid with 1 carboxyl group. So the parent will always be benzoic acid. And then if you have any substituents, make sure the carbon in the ring that attached to carboxyl group will be the first carbon. So you can see that this is our carboxyl group, this is our halogen. And then I want to determine the first carbon. Automatically this one is the first carbon, and then followed by chloro at the second carbon. So the name for this one will be 2-chloro benzoic acid, because our parent here, benzene ring attached to the carboxyl group, can give another common name as benzoic acid. However, if you realize here what you've learned in chapter 6, you can see that two substituents attached to the aromatic ring you can give as ortho for position 1 and 2. So the name for this structure also acceptable as orthochlorobenzoic acid. So settle for example 6. Now we go for aromatic carboxylic acid with 2 carboxyl group. So this is where you are going to choose the parent as benzene and dicarboxylic acid because 2 carboxyl groups attached to it. And then give the position of your carboxyl group. Example A, you have position of carboxyl at first carbon and the second carbon. It will be 1,2 dash benzene and then 2 carboxylic acid. It will be dicarboxylic acid. So this is the name for structure A. Now we go for structure B. Same goes here. We have benzene ring. You can see this is aromatic ring, and then it has 2 carboxyl groups attached on the both sides. And then I'm going to give the numbering. My numbering will start from this carbon because it's much closer to the substituents. So I'm going to put first carbon here, second, third and fourth. And then for the naming, write the substituents first. It will be 2-chloro. And then this is for 2 carboxyl groups. They are at position carbon number 1 and 4. And then dash benzene. And then you have dicarboxylic acid. So settle for structure B. So we now settle for nomenclature. Let's go with the structural formula or drawing of carboxylic acid. So for you to draw the carboxylic acid based on IUPAC nomenclature, you have to determine the chain of your compounds based on the family name or what we call as suffix. So this is family name. For example, you have A. A here, you can see that you have this one as your parent. But if you realize here, you got the spelling here is E. So what does it mean by E? E is referring to double bond, which is at position carbon number 3 and 4. So you can understand this is not misspelling. Actually, it is for double bond. So the double bond must be included in your drawing. And then because of this hexanoic acid, we have 6 carbon atoms for our parent. So let's go how to draw this one. Draw your carbon chain first with 6 intersections. And then if you give the numbering, you can see that you have 6 carbon atoms. And then at the first carbon, make sure you write your carboxyl group, double bond O, and then put another bond bonded to OH. And then at between carbon number 3 and 4, you have double bond. And then don't forget, we have substituents at position carbon number 4. You have methyl here. So add your methyl. So you got your structure for A. Now we go for B. For B, you have the parent which is pentanoic acid. So this is 5 carbon atoms for carboxylic acid. So draw the 5 carbon atoms. Give the numbering. And then what's next? Put your carboxyl group. I'm going to put double bond O, tambah bond kepada OH. And then at the third carbon, we have methyl. So add methyl. And then at the second carbon, we have chloro. So at the second carbon, put the bond attached to Cl. So settle for B. Next one, we have our parent, which is benzoic acid. So this is aromatic carboxylic acid. Draw the aromatic ring first. And then automatically at the first carbon, you have COOH. So label the numbering. And then next one, it asks you about the position of carbon number 3. You have amino. So put the bond first, attached to NH2. And then at position carbon number 5, you have isopropyl kaki ayam. So settle for structure C. Next one, we have D. So agak panjang nama dia. Tengok daripada hujung, from right to left, we have acid. Okay, kita akan tambah depan lagi carboxylic acid. Tapi berapa carbon kita tak tahu. Go more depan sampai awak dapat perkataan cyclo. So the one that I highlight here is our parent. So mari kita olah apakah maksud dia. So first thing first, kita ada cyclohex, maknanya 6 carbon atom in the ring. And then seterusnya, at position carbon number 2, here you got double bond. So maknanya double bond awak adalah antara carbon 2 and carbon 3. Seterusnya kita ada this structure, the name based on carboxylic acid. So at the first carbon you have COOH. So let's try draw this one together. First thing first, draw your cyclic ring first with 6 carbon atoms, and then give the numbering so that you can understand clearly what you are drawing. And then at the first carbon you have COOH, and then at the carbon number 2 and 3 you have double bond, and then after that at carbon number 5 you have nitro, this one. So nitro, put the bond first, bonded kepada N, and then dia ada O2. And then last one we have 6 bromo, put the bond first, attached to Br. So settle for the drawing of D. Let's go with the drawing of E. So the parent awak tentukan daripada hujung, go more forward. Okay, belum lagi. Sekarang kita ada 4 in, and then ada cyclo juga. So this is our parent. So make sure you choose the parent dengan betul. So mari kita olah. Kita ada cyclohex, and then this one adalah maksudnya cyclic ring ada 6 carbon. Okay, and then at the 4th carbon, this is in, maknanya double bond between carbon 4 and carbon 5. After that you have dicarboxylic acid, maknanya you ada 2 COOH group. So let's focus one by one. I'm going to draw first my structure in the ring, and then 6 carbon atoms. Give the numbering 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. And after that, at position carbon number 4 and 5 you have double bond. So here, and then after that at position carbon number 1 and 3 you have carboxyl group. So put the bond first, attached to COOH. Same goes to carbon number 3. And then after that your substituents, the rest of them, nitro at second carbon, ethyl at the 5th carbon. So put nitro first, bond kepada NO2, and then ethyl, which means at carbon number 5 it will be CH2 CH3. So you got your structure for E. Let's go with the last structure. The last structure, kalau awak nampak, kita ada acid paling hujung, lepas tu ada butene dioic, kena letak position. So this is our parent. So as I mentioned before, bila you nampak E, huruf E ni, E and E, ini adalah double bond. And your double bond should be between carbon number 2 and carbon number 3. And then this parent kita ada 4 carbon atoms. And then you have to make sure that because of the naming, which is dioic acid means that you have 2 COOH group. Dan dia berada dekat mana? Dekat penghujung awak. First thing first, draw dulu parent chain berapa carbon. So kita ada butene, iaitu 4 carbon. And then give the numbering. Terusnya at carbon number 1 and 4, iaitu penghujung awak akan tambah double bond OH. So saya akan tambah double bond O and then OH. Same goes here, double bond OH. After that, saya ada butene, which is at between carbon number 2 and 3. So letak double bond here. And then teruskan dengan substituents awak ada 3 methyl. So at position carbon number 3 methyl, and then at position carbon number 2 you have ethyl, 2 carbon chain. And then last but not least, you have this word, which is cis, Apa maksud cis? Awak kena tunjuk cis isomer. So drawing awak masih belum complete because to show the cis isomer you have to make sure your drawing is in V shape. So position kita akan lihat antara carbon number 2 and 3 because this is what we are going to start with for cis isomer. So mulakan dengan awak punya carbon number 2 and 3 and then bagi numbering 2, 3. And then carbon number 2 we have ethyl dan juga carboxyl group. So draw your structure, ethyl and then you have carboxyl group. Settle for left side. Mari kita teruskan dengan right side. So at the right side you have carbon number 3 with methyl and carboxyl group. So I'm going to draw carboxyl group first. Put the bond bonded to COOH. And then one more at position carbon number 3 we have methyl. So if you realize here, this one will be our cis isomer in V shape. How can you show V shape? Like this one. Okay, this is our V shape. And then which one is position carbon number 1 and 4? Here is 1, here is 4. So settle for our drawing. I hope you are clear how to give the name and drawing for your carboxylic acid. So that's it from me. I will see you in the next video. Bye.